We got to have clear eyes on the plus minus of the Iran war. So let's look at it, okay? On the plus side, there is no question the regime seeks death for all infidels, and we're at the top of the list. There's no question the U.S. military has degraded some or even much of the regime's abilities to hurt people in the region. But does that make us safer? It's more likely that safety at home was helped by taking out the Ayatollah and other leaders, such that the regime may be somewhat less capable to export terror to America. Not incapable, but less capable. However, there's an offset uptick in hatred for us now. And we saw some regime-inspired attacks early on here at home by Americans. And now the regime that the Trump administration keeps saying will stay in place will likely hate us more than ever. But the real justification from the president for this unauthorized and largely unwanted war was to stop a nuclear weapon. Again, we do not know Iran was close to having a nuclear weapon, and anyone who says that is not saying something that is accurate. We do know there is reason to believe they were trying to get one, and if Iran had a nuke, they would likely use it. And there would definitely be proliferation by neighboring states, setting the stage for a nuclear showdown in the Middle East, which would be a disaster existentially and, of course, economically. So there is value to us, even here at home, from the regime getting pounded. But the nuclear piece is everything, and it's going to come down to a deal. And we do not look as formidable on the deal-making field as we do with the U.S. military on the battlefield. Even the president is now expressing some doubt about J.D. Vance as a negotiator, but is sticking with him for the next round despite very little reason to believe he's the right man for the job. So, has this been worth it? If you don't get a deal that keeps us safe from nuclear capabilities, it's hard to justify it. Now, let's look at it. More countries are buying American energy because of the Strait of Hormuz thing. Is that going to make up for what it's costing us? Probably not. But China is now buying from us. That's a major concession, agreeing to restart large purchases of U.S. energy. But again, does that offset? Just this week, a war budget expert at Harvard estimated the war is actually costing twice what the administration says. $2 billion a day. And remember, that's short term. In the long term, the Iran war is estimated to potentially cost $1 trillion over the next decade. Why? This is going to go on for a decade? No, but when you amortize the costs, replacing the missiles, replacing the interceptors, repairing and replacing our facilities, repairing Gulf energy sites, increasing the baseline Pentagon budget as is being requested, the increasing cost of borrowing, and many other hidden costs. And that's not the main financial burden if you think about it, because the government can print money, right? We cannot. Just today we learned wholesale inflation surged 4% last month thanks to the war. And when wholesale inflation goes up, most prices follow. Small businesses are seeing manufacturing price spikes. And after the tariffs, which they're still paying, by the way, they've about taken all they can. And they're also seeing less buyers and less consumer confidence. As you know, prices are up on most things that matter, and now we hear some at the Fed are already indicating they're going to have to raise rates again, despite more and more of us living off credit cards to pay for basic purchases. And the top of that list, healthcare. By far the biggest economic concern among Americans now. Premiums for large employer plans, up 9%. Premiums for small businesses, 11%. Premiums for ACA plans, about 1 in 4 people, 26% on average. For those who had the enhanced subsidies, up over 100%. Some as high as 700%. Remember, Congress has still not passed those subsidies despite overwhelming support for them by Americans. Bottom line, the president has a tough case to make that the war is worth the cost, especially if a nuclear deal that is impressive doesn't happen, and soon. So, let's discuss. The president is saying there may be a second round of peace talks, as I told you. The vice president just gave us insight into where their head is in terms of the deal to strike.
He doesn't want to make like a small deal. He wants to make the grand bargain. Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. Iran is not state sponsoring terrorism, but also the people of Iran can thrive and prosper and join the world economy. If you guys commit to not having a nuclear weapon, we are going to make Iran thrive. We're going to make it economically prosperous, and we're going to invite the Iranian people into the world economy in a way they haven't been in my entire life. And that's the kind of Trumpian grand bargain that the president has put on the table.
But, like, is that even like a possibility, let alone a probability? Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.